We are back. Giants baseball, past, present, and future. Timmy Haller is still sick with laryngitis. He'll be back next week. And the guest will be, next week, Uncle Bill Haller. Timmy's Uncle Bill, who was a longtime umpire in the American League, later a scout with the White Sox, and brother of the late Tom Haller. Can't wait to meet Bill Haller on the air next week. Tonight, sitting in for Bill, we have two folk, because we're going to honor a basketball player from the Bay Area, big, close identification with the Giants because he was a Warrior. The late, great Nate Thurmund passed away in the last day or so. So we've got Vasu Vaddiparty returning to the zone for the third time. Welcome back, Vasu.
Thank you, Ralph. I appreciate it.
Okay, and Alan Blumkin, my co-host on another show on the Comfortably Zone Radio Network, New York Baseball, Past, Present, and Future, and he's an NBA maven from way back and appreciates the great late Nate. The first thing when we talk about the passing of Nate Thurmond that Alan mentioned was that the Knicks took, instead of Nate Thurmond, they took Art Heyman from Duke as their first-round pick way back then. And Nate Thurmond from Bowling Green fell to the Warriors. Do you remember those days, Alan?
Yes. That was another one in the very long line of big mistakes. And
by the New York Knicks.
I think they named him because he was
Heyman was a shooting guard, really slow, couldn't get the shot off quickly.
He had a decent year his rookie year because the team was so terrible, so he played a lot. But he went out of the league in a couple of years. I think he did a little time in the ABA when that first started.
Yeah.
But
what are your memories of Nate Thurmond, Vasu Vaddiparty?
Well, I didn't really see him play very much. I'm a little bit younger. I just remember him being in the Bay Area, and everybody had a lot of respect for him from a personal standpoint. But it was just one of those guys. He was a total gentleman, total class act. He always, every time I saw him, and I didn't know him very well. I only met him once, but I just remember every time I saw him, he was always dressed to the nines, whether he was doing TV or not doing TV. And he was just one of those guys that just exuded class. And I watched film, and I read a little bit more about him in the last couple of days since I heard he passed. And it was just one of those things where he was a top 50 NBA player, and nobody realized that he was a top 50 NBA player. But he was 15 points and 15 rebounds averaged like 5 or 6 seasons while he was in the NBA. And a lot of times he wasn't even the starting center on the teams that he was on. He was the backup, and he was still putting up those kind of numbers and playing very well. And he could be as physical. He could be as physical as the next guy. From what I heard and what I understand in the film that I've seen about him, he's as physical as they came. And he was just he could dominate if he wanted to, but I don't think that was his nature. I think he just wanted to be part of the team unit. And the way it looked in that Warriors championship team, that was his role basically, was that he was a piece of the unit that complemented Barry and Keith Willis, Jamal Wilkes at that time, and he was just a great guy off the court, but apparently he was a very tough competitor and could fight with the best of them, with Jabbar and everybody else. So those are really the memories that I have of him.
Yeah, I remember Wilt, him coming up against Wilt and Russell. He played his big games against them. He was tremendous defensively. And there's an analogy between him and Willis Reed that I'd like to get into. When Willis Reed was drafted, he was drafted basically. Bellamy was there. He was
Bellamy wasn't there yet.
Yeah,
No,
but he was the center. They had him at power forward.
Yeah, but he started at center, and then they got Bellamy in the trade, which is another one move that they made that I never understood. They had to shift Reed to forward. And then when they got rid of Bellamy and homage, that was the greatest trade ever in the history of the Knicks.
Absolutely. Kissinger and for DeBusschere, not Kissinger.
Yeah. And Thurmond was basically in the same position because when the Warriors drafted him, they had Wilt Chamberlain.
Right.
They had to play power forward, which was not natural until they shipped Wilt to the 76ers.
Exactly. So therein lies the analogy of both players played out of position earlier in their career.
Yeah, exactly.
And, so he was great, and he's going to be remembered in the Bay Area more for the representation of the Warriors than he was as a Warrior. I mean, he was the guy that the iconic guy that they went to for interviews when they were good, bad, and indifferent. After he retired, he really was the face of the franchise for a long time. You can talk about Rick Barry. Rick Barry just wasn't it in terms of people's love in San Francisco basketball.
Rick Barry jumped to the ABA.
Yeah, he twice jumped ship to the Warriors.
That's terrific 76er team in 1966-67. And he jumped to the ABA, and he didn't return for 5 years. So when I read his comments about how he loved Nate Thurmond, blah, 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 if he loved him so much, he wanted to jump to the ABA.
I will say this though.
It had a lot to do. If his love for it had a lot to do with it, more was that Bruce Hale, the coach of the ABA team that he jumped to, was his father-in-law. That had a lot to do with it. And the early NBA did not have the bucks to pay. It's all about labor and this and that and the other thing. But here's another thing that's really kind of sad for Nate. The year before the Warriors won it all, they traded Nate to Chicago for George Johnson's play. It was Clifford Ray, yes.
Right.
And so Ray and Clifford Johnson shared the center duties very effectively, I might add.
Yes, George Johnson.
George Johnson,
right.
Yeah.
When they won, and Big Nate didn't participate in that. He never did get a ring with the Warriors, which was kind of sad. Did very well with Chicago. I don't remember the details of how much he added to that franchise just off the top of my head, but he was very popular in Chicago too. So rest in peace, Mr. Thurmond. He'll be missed too because he had this Nate Thurmond ribs. It was south of Market.
They were tremendous. I've been to that restaurant a couple of times. They were tremendous.
Yeah,
and they're still doing very well business-wise. They're phenomenal. And he always plugged it every time he did. I don't know how much you remember Ralph and Alan, but the last couple of years, he was the guy that would be on TV following the national game locally here for the ABC channel here. After the NBA games, and I thought he was just so eloquent and so poised and a lot of class. And he was doing the TV shows and everything that he said. It was just so well thought out, and I just have great respect for him doing the TV stuff. That I just couldn't believe that he didn't have a TV job after he played or anything like that. To be able to speak glowingly about and very well about the game, either that night or the Warriors in general. He was just somebody that people went to, and I know Gary Rednish here locally loved him, and all the people at ABC7 in San Francisco, Larry Beal, and they had him on every time. And I was shocked when I heard he had leukemia. I had no idea that he was sick, and all of a sudden I saw it come across.
Yeah, I saw the post on Facebook yesterday on one of the basketball sites that I'm on, and I was very shocked.
Totally shocked.
Yeah.
Because he never said anything and never knew about it out here in the Bay Area at all.
Yeah, I wonder how long he was ailing, and I think in a way, if you're sick, you don't have to share it with necessarily come out with it, and you can live your last few months or weeks or whatever in a private manner. I don't begrudge that.
Not at all. Absolutely, I totally.
It would have
agree
been
with
nice for people to say goodbye to him. You know?
Right. That's what I feel about that. So.
Yeah. And, you know, just to show him that he was loved, I think that, he knows it, but nobody knows it enough. That's how life is. So, again, rest in peace, Mr. Thurmund. Vasu, if you would bring us up to date a little bit about what you think the Giants are going through. I heard some very disturbing news yesterday. I don't know if it was at home or on the road with the River Cats, but Hunter Pence is rehabbing, and he pulled up lame again.
Yeah.
And it brings to mind hamstrings and how they can stick with you for a long, long time. Not just a year, but, they could curtail one's career. He's getting up there anyway. This was a very serious hamstring thing he's coming back from. Did you hear anything about an up-to-date thing of what's going on?
Yeah, I heard a little bit about him pulling his hamstring again, but here's the thing is that, remember when we talked a few weeks ago, Rafi and I did, without him, but that's an injury where you just have to rest, and I think that he's such an enthusiastic, I got to get out and play type guy that I think that he either pushed it too fast for himself or something, because it's just one of those injuries. So the way I remember it was that I think we talked about it. It was almost torn to the bone, or not torn to the bone, just sprained to the bone. And I was like, you cannot run and play and do the quick cuts or anything like that, because there's no way you're going to heal fast enough for that thing to heal. It's just impossible to me why the Giants would even allow him to even go through rehab and play in minor league baseball games until he's fully healthy, because there's always that possibility that's going to happen again. And I think that he's just so well-toned and well-muscular individual that people think that he's a skinny guy, but he's actually very cut, and he has no fat on him or anything like that. And so when he went on the DL for this hamstring, I thought to myself, let it rest. Don't come back too soon, because something like this will happen again. And now they're in the same position they were.
Guys that are wired by Hunter Pence don't rest very easily. This guy is just, he's dialed to 10.
He drives everybody crazy when he's not playing.
Right. Exactly. So let him play. What the hell? If he blows his hamstring, he'll be gone for good. At least we don't have to listen to him anymore.
That's kind of neat. That's in New York.
No, it's not true at all. I said when he went down that's going to come back. He is their motor. He really is. How's Paddock doing? Speaking of injuries coming back, he had some concussion syndromes, and I'm hearing that he's almost back.
Well, he's almost back again. That's one of those things that you have to realize. You have to understand your body. You have to understand that those things. It's like a sprained ankle. Once you sprain an ankle, you're more vulnerable to sprain an ankle again in the future. And so it's one of those things where I saw him take an infield practice a couple of times, and I talked to a couple of people that are close to him with regards to that. And it's just one of those things you got to rest until you're completely back. That you need to just rest up and make sure that your head's all totally clear, because you don't want to be taken out on a double play, land on your head, and boom, there you go again, back in the concussion protocol.
That's something I hadn't thought of, was the fact that these things do, it's cumulative, and the effects thereof. And I just flashed on Feeney, the catcher, former catcher with the Giants, now managing St. Louis, whose career was totally went south after his concussion.
Eighth or ninth concussion. Or what is deemed now as a concussion as opposed to back then when he played.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, those stats are so subjective, and how many were in high school, and when you were a kid, and all these things. It has caused an awful lot of change and change in the way people rehab from concussions. They're much more concerned now than they were 5 years ago. So things are progressing along those lines. Anything else about the Giants that you feel needs to be talked about, Vasu?
Well, they're working on some trades. I'm not sure if they're going after some middle relief pitching or anything that's going to help them bullpen wise. Because the one thing about Bochy is he likes to use his bullpen a lot, and so I think he's, in my opinion, I think he's run his relievers out a little bit too much. And we're only halfway through the year, and guys like Garcia and Romo's back, so that helps the bullpen. But Corey Guerin's on the disabled list because he's got a strained tendon, I think, and so. It's just a matter of what arms you're going to be able to use, because you don't want to burn your bullpen out the first half of the season as opposed to when you need them in August and September. So maybe there's some things on the horizon. We'll just see what happens. But offensively, they seem to be doing okay. They had a little tough stretch to start the season. I know Bumgarner didn't pitch very well on Friday night, but their offense seems to be there, and their outfielders. I'm not sure if they're going to make a trade for another corner outfielder or not, but Angel Pagan has come back unbelievably. I am shocked that Angel Pagan is having the year that he's having. I thought he was done. I thought he was done. I thought he's a terrible center fielder. He can't read a ball to save his life off the bat, but for some reason he seems to be hitting the ball well. I think I was watching a little bit last night at the event I was at. I was like, I just remember that he got 2 hits. I was like, where is this Angel Pagan the last 3 years?
Right. Something rejuvenated him, and really can't complain about it.
It must be a contract year. That's what it is. If it's a contract year, if a player's having a good year, then it's generally a contract year.
There's a little cynicism in you, my friend. Can't be denied. And that's really the way it is, and you almost can't. A lot of it is psychological. A lot of it is, you sign for a contract and you're already getting $1 million a year. So it's tough for you to be motivated.
So that was fun because and then I wanted to see New Orleans, right? But to get to came up from Florida.
Yes.
Get to New Orleans.
Oh, you cut out there for a second, Jeff.
Oh, okay. We're here. We got you.
Okay.
All right. This is a short one today. None of us are feeling good about life when a man cut down early in retirement. He's a young man by today's standards to pass away. So this is good that we were able to get this off our chests and talk about it. All I want to say about the Giants, look at the Dodgers starting to gel a little bit. That scares me.
I hope so. From being from LA, I hope a little bit.
Yeah, they're coming along, and I would say if I'd be watching out for them. That's all I can say. I think Pugh is finally going to come into his own, and they're good. There's no competition. If one team is lousy, it's not a rivalry. If one team is a nail, the hammer and the nail is not a rivalry. So I like to see it when both the Giants and Dodgers, because that's basically what it's about. The Giants and Dodgers rivalry is far exceeds any other sports rivalry going on. So, but
you mean you're not a Yankees Red Sox guy? Apparently, everybody in the country.
Well, I'm not. I'm a Met fan, so it's tough to be a Yankee fan at the same time. But I'm a Yankee apologist and a Yankee worshiper. Let's put
it that way. The Giants are coming into New York this weekend. Coming weekend to play the Yankees.
Well, that's right.
Yankees.
New York, yeah, they're going to New York. They're going to Boston and New York next week on the road before they come back home. They haven't even played a home game yet after the All-Star break.
Should be very interesting. Okay, I can't end the program without asking about Alan's Pittsburgh Pirates. What's happening, Alan?
They're playing in Washington this weekend. They've lost 2 games, Friday and Saturday night. And Washington is a house of Pirates today. They're facing Spurs today. So they'll probably lose that one. And the big problem with them is the starting pitching is very weak, and they have to use the bullpen much too much.
Okay. Vasu, I have one question for you.
Yeah.
Are the Giants ever going to get Jay Bruce, or is that eternal rumor going to go on for the rest of my life?
Well, I mean, remember a month ago there was a lot of talk about Ryan Braun too. It's a matter of they're comfortable right now with their lead, and really it's kind of wait and see. Their outfielders are playing well. Williamson and Parker are playing well enough, and hopefully Panickin's back. And I think they're more worried about the pitching right now than about offense. It seems like the offense is doing pretty well right now at this point. They've got a good enough lead that they don't have to worry. They don't have to make a knee-jerk reaction.
That expression, comfortable with the lead, that expression, I've got a good enough lead, I don't like that.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is that they don't have to panic. They don't have to panic and make a move just to make a move because they are where they're at right now. That's the point I'm saying.
Okay, well, maybe Pence's situation last night might change their thinking along those lines.
Well, hopefully it'll work out. And they've got a lead right now, and hopefully they're doing well, and we'll see what they do. But I think they're more concerned right now making sure that they don't tax the bullpen like they've been doing already, because now they got to figure out if Kane's coming back and what they're going to do with Suarez and the starting rotation, or is he going to be like a Yusmeiro Petit? Is he going to be one of those types of guys, or is he going to replace somebody in the rotation? They're going to figure out what they're going to do with Jake Peavy probably in the next month. But again, they've got a 7-game lead, Ralph, and it's just one of those things where a 7-game lead right now, they don't have to make a jerk reaction just to make it.
I agree with that 100%. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Alan, too. You're another
pleasure, you guys. Take care,
guys. Okay, and we'll catch you guys in a flip-flop. I'm going to end the show the way I generally do, by telling everybody out there to hang in there and keep on keeping on. We'll talk soon. Thanks again, everybody.
Ralph?